You start January with that sharp, clean feeling, new calendar, new notes app, new motivation. You tell yourself, this is the year I finally become disciplined. You plan workouts, morning routines, reading lists, healthier food, deeper focus, better boundaries, maybe a whole new identity. For a few days, sometimes a few weeks, it even works. You feel proud. You feel in control. And then something small happens. You miss one day. You sleep badly. Work gets messy. A family issue drains you. You scroll late at night. And suddenly the whole structure collapses like it was made of paper. The worst part isn't even losing the habit. The worst part is the private verdict that follows. I knew it. I can't change. I always do this. If this sounds painfully familiar, you are not lazy and you are not uniquely flawed. You are running into a predictable psychological pattern that I'm going to call the Resolution Rebound. And by the end of this video, you'll have a simple way to build goals that don't snap back into shame the moment life gets real. And in a few minutes, I'll share the counterintuitive insight that makes this easier than you think. The reason your goals collapse is often because they work too well at the beginning in the wrong way. Let's name and frame the phenomenon. The resolution rebound is the snapback effect after a high-intensity attempt at self-change. You push hard, you rely on a burst of motivation, you build a rigid plan, and when the plan inevitably collides with reality, your nervous system interprets the collision as danger and pulls you back to familiar comfort. It is not simply lack of willpower. It's your brain trying to protect you from a specific kind of pain, identity threat. Because when you make a New Year's resolution, you're not just choosing a behavior, you're choosing a story about who you will be. And when you fail, even slightly, it doesn't feel like a missed workout. It feels like a crack in the story. That's why the rebound can be so dramatic. Your brain would rather abandon the whole project than live in the uncomfortable middle where you're trying and imperfect at the same time. Imagine your mind is a thermostat, not a machine. A machine follows instructions. A thermostat protects a set point. If you try to change too fast, your system doesn't cooperate, it compensates. It turns on the heat or the cooling to pull you back to what's familiar. That set point isn't just physical comfort, it's emotional familiarity. It's the level of effort, risk, and self-expectation you're used to living with. When you do a sudden new me sprint in January, it's like yanking the thermostat by 10 degrees overnight. Your system will fight back, not because it hates you, but because it thinks you're destabilizing the environment. Now let's break down why the rebound happens in simple depth. First, January motivation is often borrowed, not built. It comes from novelty, social energy, and a cultural script that says, now is the time. Novelty gives you a dopamine lift, which feels like discipline. But dopamine is not a contract. It fades. When it fades, if your plan depends on it, the plan collapses. Second, many resolutions are secretly identity apologies. You're not building a goal from desire. You're building it from self-criticism. You're trying to prove you're not the person you dislike. That adds pressure and makes every slip feel like evidence. Third, your goals are often designed as a perfect world schedule, not a real-life system. You plan as if you will never be tired, never stressed, never traveling, never sick, never socially drained. Then a normal week arrives and the plan shatters, and you interpret normality as failure. Fourth, people often aim for total transformation instead of continuity. They choose a target that requires becoming a different person overnight. The nervous system doesn't do overnight. It does repetition. It does small wins. It does safety. Here's the hidden cost if you keep repeating this cycle. You start distrusting your own promises. You stop taking yourself seriously. Even when you want to change, a part of you rolls its eyes because it has seen January before. You might start avoiding goals altogether to avoid disappointment. Or you keep making bigger, stricter plans because you think the problem is that you weren't hard enough on yourself. That's how the resolution rebound becomes the self-trust collapse. You don't just lose habits. You lose the feeling that you can rely on you. And that is the real problem we're solving today. Not how to become perfect, but how to become trustworthy to yourself in a way that survives real life. So let's move into the toolkit. 4 tools, simple names, concrete steps. This is not about forcing yourself harder. This is about building a system your mind doesn't need to rebel against. Tool 1 is called the smallest stable unit. This tool answers a question most people skip. What is the smallest version of this habit that I can do even on a bad day without resenting myself? Not on a perfect day, on a bad day. Because stability beats intensity. The smallest stable unit might feel almost laughably small. 2 minutes of movement, 1 paragraph of reading, 5 minutes of cleaning, 1 message to a friend, 1 glass of water, a single written sentence. Your brain will try to insult it. It will say that doesn't count. But here's the truth. What counts is what you repeat. The point of the smallest stable unit is to keep the chain alive when your motivation is dead. It protects identity. It tells your nervous system, we are still the kind of person who shows up, even lightly. Try it in a real example. You want to work out 5 times a week. Great. But your smallest stable unit could be, put on workout clothes and do 3 minutes of any movement. If you do more, great. If you do only that, you still reinforce the identity. Micro-experiment for the next 24 hours. Choose one resolution you care about and define its smallest stable unit in a single sentence. Make it so easy you almost feel annoyed. That's how you know it will survive. Tool 2 is called the slip plan. Most people have a plan for success and no plan for slipping, as if slipping is a moral surprise instead of a normal feature of change. The slip plan is a pre-written response to failure that prevents the shame spiral from taking the wheel. It has 3 parts: acknowledge, reduce, return. Acknowledge means you name what happened without drama. I missed today. Reduce means you shrink the next step to your smallest stable unit. Return means you choose the next available moment, not next week, not next month. Here's the key line. A slip is not a break, it's a bend. If you treat it like a break, you rebound. If you treat it like a bend, you continue. Imagine you missed 2 days of your routine. Old pattern, you feel guilty. You declare it ruined. You rebound into avoidance. Slip plan, acknowledge, reduce, return. I missed 2 days. Today I'll do the smallest stable version. I'll return now. That's it. You're teaching your nervous system that imperfection does not equal danger. Micro assignment. Write your slip plan in 1 sentence right now, in your own words, and keep it somewhere you will see it when you feel tempted to quit. Tool 3 is called the identity ladder. This tool prevents the most common January trap, trying to leap into a new identity without building the rungs. An identity is not something you declare, it's something you demonstrate to your own brain through evidence. The identity ladder has 3 rungs. The first rung is action, what you do. The second rung is evidence, what that action proves. The third rung is identity, what you start believing about yourself. For example, action, you write for 5 minutes. Evidence, I can start even when I don't feel ready. Identity, I am a person who creates consistently. The latter matters because people try to start at the top. They say, I am disciplined now, and then they force actions that are too large to sustain. When the action fails, the identity crashes. With the latter, you start small and let the identity emerge naturally. Here's the subtle shift. You stop chasing motivation and start collecting evidence. Evidence is more stable than feelings. If you want a comment prompt that builds community, ask yourself, what identity are you secretly trying to earn through your resolutions? Is it, I'm disciplined, I'm worthy, I'm not behind, I'm not a mess, I'm someone who has it together? If you want, share the identity in the comments in a short phrase. You'll see how many people are trying to earn the same emotional safety through productivity. Tool 4 is called the 2-season design. This one is crucial and almost nobody does it. Most people design January as if it's the whole year. But life has seasons. Your energy, time, and stress vary. A goal that only works in your best season is not a goal, it's a mood. 2-season design means you create a plan for both high-energy weeks and low-energy weeks. A high-energy plan is your ideal version. Low-energy plan is the minimum viable version that keeps your identity intact. For example, high energy, 3 gym sessions, meal prep, focused work blocks. Low energy, 2 short walks, simple meals, 1 focused block, and the smallest stable unit daily. This is not settling. This is realism. It's how you build something that survives illness, travel, stress, holidays, and normal human fluctuation. When you have a low energy plan, you stop panicking when life gets hard. You don't interpret a hard week as the end of your growth. You interpret it as the season changing and you shift gears. That single perspective reduces rebound dramatically, because rebound is often your nervous system's reaction to the feeling, I can't keep up with my own plan. Now we can close the curiosity loop from the beginning. Why do goals collapse? Because they work too well at the start. Because the first burst can create a false identity. You believe the new version of you is now permanent, and you build your expectations around that high. When the inevitable dip comes, it feels like you lost something you had, rather than simply returning to baseline. Your brain grieves the fantasy and then protects you from that grief by quitting. The solution is not to avoid motivation. It's to treat motivation like weather, not like character. Sunny days are great, but you design for rain. Now, let's integrate the tools into a simple protocol you can remember. First, define your smallest stable unit so you have a behavior that survives bad days. Second, write a slip plan so imperfection triggers repair, not shame. Third, build an identity ladder so your self-concept grows from evidence, not declarations. Fourth, use two-season design so your goal has gears and doesn't demand the same output every week. If you do this, you don't become perfect. You become consistent in the only way that actually matters. You keep returning. And returning is the skill. Returning is what builds self-trust. Here's the deeper philosophical point that makes this feel less like a productivity hack and more like a life practice. You are not a project that needs to be fixed in January. You are a living system that needs care across seasons. The calendar is not a judge, it's a tool. And a good tool should make your life more humane, not more punishing. When you stop treating January as a moral restart, you stop needing a dramatic new self to justify your existence. You start building a relationship with yourself that can handle reality. Missed days, messy weeks, small wins, gradual change. That relationship is what actually changes you over time. So if you're watching this at the start of the year and you feel that familiar pressure rising, let it soften. Choose one behavior. Make it small enough to be stable. Decide how you'll respond when you slip. Collect evidence. Design for 2 seasons. Then watch what happens when you stop fighting your nervous system and start cooperating with it. If this video helped you understand why January goals rebound and gave you a practical system to build habits without the shame spiral, like the video, share it with someone who always feels crushed after a resolution fails, and subscribe to Mind Unlocked, because we're building a toolkit for better thinking, clearer communication, and deeper self-understanding, so you can make change that actually lasts, not through intensity, but through steady self-trust.